Welcome to the AI for Career Success podcast by Curt Robbins. We're experts at AI coaching and helping professionals like you and your employees upskill in AI. I'm your host, Fred Jones.
And I am your co-host, Daphne Blake. Welcome in, everyone.
So this is episode 199, and today we are unpacking what has to be, honestly, one of the wildest, most ambitious second acts in modern tech history.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, in the tech industry, second acts usually follow a really predictable script, right? A visionary founder builds an empire, they get pushed out by the board, they take some time off.
Go to an ashram or something.
Right, exactly. And then they eventually return to launch, just another software company. They stay right in the digital lane they already know.
But the story we're analyzing today just completely shatters that mold. Travis Kalanick, the ousted co-founder of Uber, has just launched this massive new robotics startup called Atoms.
Which means he is entirely abandoning the pure software world to tackle the gritty, heavy-duty physical world.
Yeah, he's dealing with real physical friction now. And the goal of our analysis today, Daphne, is to really figure out what Kalanick's dramatic pivot means for the future of industrial automation.
Yes, and more importantly, we need to translate this for you, the listener. Because if you're managing a team or directing a supply chain, or honestly just trying to future-proof your career, you have to understand the fundamental shift in production costs that Atoms is trying to trigger.
Exactly. But to understand the sheer scale of what Kalanick is launching today, we can't just read the current press release. We actually have to rewind the clock to 2017.
Right, to see what he's been quietly building in the shadows while he was out of the spotlight. Because that foundation is really the key to understanding how a robotics company scales this quickly.
The timeline here is just fascinating. So in 2017, Kalanick was forced out of Uber in this highly publicized, super messy exit, and he walked away with roughly $2.5 billion in cashed-out Uber shares.
Which is a staggering amount of capital. Most executives with that level of personal wealth would, start a family office, become a quiet angel investor.
Or just buy an island and retire.
Exactly. But Kalanick took that war chest and launched a company called City Storage Systems. The public knows it better as Cloud Kitchens.
Right. For those who might not know the model, Cloud Kitchens is this enormous ghost kitchen empire. Their whole strategy involves buying up really cheap, distressed commercial real estate.
Yeah, think like abandoned warehouses or empty retail spaces.
Exactly. And they outfit them with dozens of commercial kitchens. There's no dining room, no wait staff, no storefront at all. They just rent these optimized spaces to restaurant brands who only want to fulfill delivery orders.
Like for Uber Eats or DoorDash. And Fred, this was not just some small experimental side project. It scaled into an absolute juggernaut.
Yeah, I mean, by 2019, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund pumped $400 million into it, right?
They did. And then later, Microsoft and a coalition of other heavy-hitting investors poured in an additional $850 million. So we are looking at a company that hit a $15 billion valuation, operating over 2,000 locations across North America.
Which is massive. And that's what makes the latest developments so jarring. Because Kalanick just completely killed the Cloud Kitchens brand.
Erased it entirely. He is folding that entire $15 billion ghost kitchen empire directly into his new robotics company.
Yeah, it's basically just been absorbed and rebranded as the Atoms Food Division. And, I mean, Daphne, you do not just erase a massive consumer brand with thousands of locations unless it was serving a much larger hidden strategic purpose all along.
I completely agree.
So looking at this whole sequence of events, I have to pitch a theory to you. Was Cloud Kitchens essentially just a Trojan horse?
Oh, a Trojan horse. That's an interesting way to frame it.
Well, think about it. The public and the investors viewed it as a food delivery real estate play. But if you strip away the cooking equipment, a ghost kitchen is actually a hyper-complex physical logistics hub.
That is very true. You have raw materials arriving, highly precise processing times.
Right, and then you have to route the finished products out to this constantly fluctuating, totally unpredictable grid of human delivery drivers. So was Kalanick simply using food delivery to build a massive, real-world physical logistics network?
Honestly, Fred, the operational mechanics strongly support that theory. Let's look at the underlying AI and the software required to actually run a Cloud Kitchens facility.
It's way more than just taking online orders, right?
Oh, absolutely. The software is conducting algorithmic batching. It has to predict prep times down to the literal second across 40 different restaurant brands operating under one roof.
That sounds like a nightmare to organize.
It is. It has to spatially map the movement of human runners inside the building and then synchronize that movement with the GPS coordinates of an approaching driver in the parking lot.
So the software is already solving the absolute hardest parts of physical routing.
Precisely. I mean, software has already mastered language and math. We see that every day with, generative AI and algorithmic trading. But the physical world is full of friction.
Yeah, rains, traffic backs up, people drop boxes.
Exactly. So if you can engineer an AI system that flawlessly orchestrates the chaos of a multi-tenant commercial kitchen during the Friday night dinner rush, you have effectively mapped the mathematical DNA required to orchestrate autonomous robots on a warehouse floor.
Wow, the algorithms routing a food runner around a busy kitchen are the exact same algorithms needed to route a robotic forklift around a loading dock.
Yes. Food was merely the highest frequency, most immediate use case to stress test the system.
So he was literally using our weekend takeout orders as the training data for industrial robotics. That is brilliant, and it perfectly sets the stage for the hardware Adams is now bringing to market. Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Curt Robbins.
Hi, this is Curt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the AI for Career Success podcast, where we help you get smarter than your competition by coaching you in AI. So, Fred, before the break, we established the massive software and real estate foundation Kalanick built.
Right, the Trojan horse of cloud kitchens. Let's pivot to the actual machines Adams is deploying.
Yeah.
Because when someone mentions a new, heavily funded robotic startup, my immediate thought is, like, a humanoid robot doing backflips off of shipping containers.
Right, the classic sci-fi pursuit of the general-purpose android. That's what grabs the viral social media attention, but it's incredibly difficult to scale commercially because human environments are just so unpredictable.
Yeah, humans are messy. So Adams is taking the exact opposite approach, aren't they?
They are. They're building highly specialized, task-specific machines. Kalanick refers to them as gainfully employed robots.
Gainfully employed.
Yeah.
That really strips away all the romance of robotics, doesn't it?
It really does. It implies a machine built solely to execute a specific repetitive human job faster and with perfect reliability. And to execute this, Adams has structured itself into 3 distinct divisions.
Okay, so we already discussed Adams Food.
Right. The second is Adams Mining, which focuses on heavy industry extraction. And the third is Adams Transport, which is focused on building what they call a universal wheelbase for autonomous movement.
A universal wheelbase. That sounds like the engineering linchpin of the whole operation.
It absolutely is. Instead of designing a bespoke, custom-built robot from scratch for every single industrial task, Adams Transport is engineering a standardized autonomous chassis.
Oh, so think of it as a highly intelligent mobile platform.
Exactly. And depending on the industry you're serving, you simply swap out the modular attachment on top. You attach a heavy-duty drill mechanism for mining, a robotic sorting arm for warehouse logistics, or a temperature-controlled container for food delivery.
I mean, Daphne, I have to challenge the practicality of that. A universal wheelbase sounds incredible in an investor pitch deck. But the physics of moving a few pounds of pad thai across a city are fundamentally different from hauling 3 tons of iron ore out of a quarry.
That is a very fair point.
How does a single platform actually serve both extremes?
It's a great distinction to make, Fred. The universal aspect doesn't mean they use the exact same tires and motors for a mining truck as they do for a sidewalk delivery bot.
Oh, okay. So what is universal about it?
The universal element is the software abstraction layer and the sensor architecture. The AI that processes LiDAR data, makes obstacle avoidance decisions, and communicates with the central routing hub that is standardized.
I see. So the physical chassis scales up or down, but the brain driving it is a single unified system.
Precisely. That modularity in the software is how you achieve massive economies of scale in manufacturing.
Which brings us to how they are actually entering these heavy industries.
Yeah.
Because Kalanick isn't waiting years to build a mining truck from scratch. His first major move with Atoms was acquiring an existing company called Pronto.
Yes, Pronto. It's an autonomous mining truck startup founded by Anthony Lewandowski.
And Lewandowski is a crucial figure in the history of autonomous vehicles, right?
He is. He previously led Google's self-driving car project, then famously brought that technology over to Uber when Kalanick was still the CEO.
Right, and that move triggered one of the most vicious, high-stakes corporate lawsuits in Silicon Valley history between Google and Uber.
It was a massive legal battle, yes.
So looking at this acquisition now, I have to ask, is buying Pronto a brilliant strategic shortcut to dominate heavy industry? Or is this just two tech billionaires getting the old band back together?
I mean, it's easy to view the reunion cynically, Fred.
Yeah, the optics of loyalty disguised as strategy are hard to ignore.
They are, but the source material indicates this is purely a strategic acquisition driven by real-world traction. Pronto is not a vanity project. It is a functioning business solving a massive operational bottleneck.
They already have locked-in contracts, don't they?
They do. They are set to deploy over 100 of their autonomous trucks in Brazil for Heidelberg Materials, which is one of the largest cement producers on the planet.
Wow. You do not secure a contract of that magnitude with a global industrial giant based on tech industry nepotism.
No, definitely not.
You win that contract because your technology actually moves dirt cheaper than a human crew.
Exactly the point. In a closed-loop environment like a quarry or a mine, autonomous trucks are just drastically more efficient. They don't experience driver fatigue, they don't need shift changes.
And the AI probably optimizes the driving perfectly.
Yes, the acceleration and braking are so precise that it significantly reduces fuel consumption and tire wear. By acquiring Pronto, Atoms instantly gains revenue-generating dominance in the autonomous mining sector.
So they're proving their technology in the harshest physical environments before scaling to other industries.
Exactly.
But, mentioning Uber brings us to the most wildly ironic detail in this entire analysis. The financial loop behind Atoms is just staggering.
It really is something out of a movie.
Back in 2020, after Kalanick was ousted, Uber's new leadership decided the self-driving dream was too expensive and too difficult. They sold off their entire autonomous vehicle division to a company called Aurora for roughly $4 billion.
And Kalanick was very public about his disappointment with that. He stated that autonomy was the essential endgame for any logistics company.
Because he understood that the entire profit margin of a ride-sharing or delivery network is consumed by paying the human driver.
Exactly. Without autonomy, the business model always struggles with labor costs.
So Uber abandons the vision. Fast forward to today, and our sources confirm that Uber is now providing major financial backing to Atoms.
Yes, let's trace that path because it's wild.
Kalanick is pushed out. Uber kills his autonomous vision. He spends 7 years secretly building a physical logistics empire. Now he's building the exact autonomous future Uber gave up on, and Uber is paying him to do it.
It is the ultimate corporate irony, Fred. But it highlights a harsh macroeconomic reality. Uber's leadership now realizes they desperately need the automation they previously sold off.
And Kalanick is basically the only one who can build it for them.
Right. He appears to be the only operator with the capital, the operational obsession, and the physical infrastructure to actually make it happen. And this connects directly to the core thesis of Kalanick's entire endeavor.
Which is the most critical takeaway for our listeners today: the complete collapse of physical production costs.
Yes. Kalanick is arguing that the cost of almost everything in our physical world, the materials building your office, the device playing this audio, the food in your refrigerator, is heavily inflated by the cost of human labor.
Because you're paying humans to extract the raw materials, humans to assemble the components, and humans to drive the delivery vehicles.
But if heavy industries go completely autonomous, that entire equation breaks. If the gainfully employed robot is drilling the ore, assembling the product, and driving the truck,
then Kalanick believes the cost of physical production will radically collapse down to simply the cost of the raw materials and the energy required to power the machines.
Exactly. It triggers a whole new era of industrial productivity. And you can see how Atoms is structurally designed to execute this end-to-end.
Right. They extract the raw material with Atoms mining, they transport it with Atoms transport, and they process it for the end consumer with Atoms food.
It is an entirely closed-loop autonomous supply chain.
Now, if you're listening to this, you might be wondering how this impacts your day-to-day life, especially if you don't run a massive cement operation in Brazil.
Which most of us don't.
Right.
Yeah.
But the ripple effects of this automation will touch every single industry. For the last 2 decades, the anxiety around automation has been focused on software replacing white-collar, repetitive office tasks.
But Adams is pointing a laser directly at the blue-collar physical world. When the cost of moving physical atoms becomes as cheap and frictionless as the cost of moving digital bits, the skills that the market values will change entirely.
So if you are an operations manager, a logistics director, or an entrepreneur, you have to realize that the value of human labor is going to shift drastically.
The premium will no longer be on executing the physical labor, but on managing, optimizing, and overseeing the AI systems that do the labor.
That is exactly why upskilling in AI architecture and systems management is so critical for career survival right now. It is just a phenomenal comeback story. He took his multi-billion-dollar exit and, rather than disappearing, decided to try and fundamentally rewrite the physical economics of the planet.
It's massively ambitious. And as we wrap up our exploration of atoms and the automated future of industry, we want to leave you with a question to ponder. As industrial automation drives the cost of physical production to near zero and highly specialized machines take over the heavy lifting of the global supply chain, what uniquely human skills are you cultivating today that a gainfully employed robot can never replicate?
Thank you for listening to the AI for Career Success podcast from Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Please buy us a coffee and remember that we're experts at coaching you and your employees about AI. We'll see you next time.